evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network and Sports Corner with the Conn Man. Tonight, I have with me a very special guest. He goes by the name of Stephen Bardo. He's had an outstanding career with the University of Illinois, and he should be coming on momentarily. So while we're waiting for him, I can read off a little bit about him. During his standout career at the University of Illinois, 6'5" Bardo scored 909 points and compiled 49.5 assists. He was part of the Flying Illinois team that qualified for the 1989 NCAA men's basketball tournament Final Four. The Flying Illini team gained the moniker Flying Illini by Dick Vitale, the famous Dick Vitale, while broadcasting the game during the 1988-89 season. Bardo was named Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in 1989. Along with Bardo, the other starting members of this team, which is an awesome team, Nick Anderson, Kendall Gill, Lowell Hamilton, Kenny Battle, and a key reserve by the name of Marcus Liberty, who the season before, he was heralded as the #1 player in the nation. And what's very interesting is when this COVID thing came about, and I was trying to find out what I was doing. I was just recently retired, and I was wondering what I wanted to do. And I was scrolling through the Facebook pages, and I see this guy named Robert Bobby Reed out of Chicago. And I kind of like harassed him to get on his show, and he allowed me to come on. It was great. We did this show. It was two OGs, me, myself, and a guy by the name of John Reeves. And it went very, very well. And it got me the bug. And, what was funny, though, is that there was a guy on Robert Bobby Reed's show who happens to be Marcus Liberty. They do a very great show called All Ball Chicago. And they get all kind of the Chicago legends. They do it well. If y'all get a chance, check out his podcast, All Ball Chicago. He's all over the place. So I wanted to get Stephen's take on that. That was kind of interesting. Bardo was selected in the 1990 NBA draft by the Atlanta Hawks. He also played with the San Antonio Spurs, Dallas Mavericks, Detroit Pistons, and he played a total of 10 seasons. He also played in France, Italy, Japan, Spain, Venezuela, overseas, as well as the Continental Basketball Association. He was selected as CBA Defensive Player in 1993 and 1994. Bardo was also named to the All-CBA First Team in 1993, All-CBA Second Team in 1992 and 94, and All-Defensive Team in 1992, 93, and 94. And again, as I said, he enjoyed a 10-year career in the NBA. Since retiring in 2000, Bardo has worked in broadcasting. He has served as a color analyst for the Sports Network, the Illinois Sports Network, sports reporter for WBBM-TV in Chicago, an analyst and reporter for CBS Sports, and a color analyst for college basketball on ESPN and the Big Ten Network. He has also participated on ESPN's First Take, which happens to have the one and only Stephen A. Smith. And he also is a motivational speaker, which is why I wanted him on the show, because he's doing some fantastic things now with motivational speaking. What else can I say about him? And he also authored a book entitled "To Make the League Without Picking Up the Rock." In 2021, Bardo began filling as an analyst on Daily Sports Wisconsin's Milwaukee Bucks broadcast for regular season, and a color commentator with the great Marcus Johnson of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then in May of 2015, who was an African American, of course, publicly criticized the University of Illinois about the lack of diversity among prominent head coaches at the university. But I mean, he's gone on to do some tremendous things. He he was working as I stated with three different networks. I mean, ESPN, the Illinois Network, Fox Network, and he gave it all up. He gave it all up. Right now, I think he's in Cozumel, Mexico, or one of the islands, and he's doing some tremendous things. And I don't know. He said he's going to come on, so hopefully he comes on. If he doesn't, we'll make it short because I want to bore you all to death. But you know, it was funny because as I go and I look towards the Facebook, because I'm always trying to get interesting guests to come on my show because I feel it's important and I like my show to make an impact. And the things that Stephen is doing right now is very impactful. And you know, he has a whole thing about the NIL, which I wanted him to touch base with. Now, I don't know because he's in Mexico, so I don't know how the time thing works. I'm gonna try to hit him up to see if he's. I mean, you know, with the time differences. That's one thing we have on. Well, I have on my show is the time differences. Chicago's different than here, and you know, you get to LA. But so we got to deal with that, you know, certain situations because it is Eastern time. I think he knows that, but I don't know what time it is over there. Do you know? So I don't know. So hopefully he'll come on. If not, we can always reschedule him. I'm not worried about that. But a couple things I'd like to talk about. You know, those who are tuned in today to my show, you got to tune in tonight. You got to tune in tonight. If you want to be entertained, you got to tune in tonight, the Courtside View, where we discuss all kind of things NBA. We all have our own opinions. Some have it a little louder than others, but I mean, it's very entertaining. We have Kaz, Money Bags. We got Coach Dante. We got Chris Robinson. We got Cool McCain. And every now and then we got the man himself. He'll tell you he is. Freddie Henderson. And of course, we got the one and only Keith Williams, my producer. So if you guys are tuning in here, and you know, as I said, I'm not going to spend a whole hour talking about NBA because we're going to be talking about that tonight. But I'll touch on a few things, and then you know I'll get in touch with Steven, and hopefully he can come on at another time. Because sometimes when you do podcasts, some of these things do happen. Here he is, matter of fact, right now. Here we go, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is, my man, Stephen Bardo. How you doing, Stephen?
I'm doing well, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well now that you came on. I want to thank you for coming on my show. I just went over all your accomplishments. I don't want to have to repeat them because you already know them. But you know, what I wanted to do, one thing I did want to tell you is that when this COVID thing started kicking in, and you know, I was trying to find things what I wanted to do, and I scrolled across Facebook, and I saw a guy. I'm sure you might know who I'm talking about. He goes by the name of Robert Bobby Reed, and he does a thing called All Ball Chicago. Mm-hmm. And I was, you know, starting in the business. I said, I want to get on this show. And after a while, he said, yeah, Mike, come on. So you got me and another OG called John Reese, who's out of Chicago. And he has a show called All Ball Chicago with Marcus Liberty. And I was just going, and I want you to talk about that outstanding team you had with the University of Illinois.
Oh, man, it was a fantastic group of guys.
I can see.
all from the state of Illinois, with the exception of P.J. Bowman, who was originally from Michigan, but everyone else was from the state of Illinois. Special team, everybody was between 6'4" and 6'7". We'd run and jump people out of the gym. Very athletic, very competitive. And Dick Vitale named us the Flying Illini. So
I already mentioned that before you came on. I mentioned it. I got it all right here. I already mentioned it, man. That's awesome, man. Yeah. What a team. That is incredible. So what do you think when you look back, when you played at Illinois, what were your fondest memories?
You know, I think a lot of times when people talk about the teams that they played on, they'll reference games, but I'm going to reference the time spent with the fellas.
There you go.
You know, you might have a breakup with a girlfriend and your teammate was there to help you, or, you know, that
Okay.
we had some deaths in the family
Right.
during my 4 years at Illinois on the team. And just to have guys be there for one another, some of the camaraderie, some of the stories with ladies, um, you know, Kendall Gill, Nick Anderson, and Kenny Battle had to have aliases at the hotels that we stayed at
Wow.
to keep them, you know, from people from hangers on and things of that nature, especially as we started to get into late January, February. Um,
Uh-huh.
we had a lot of publicity, a lot of coverage around us. And so, you know, getting to the Final Four, losing on a last second shot to our arch rival, Michigan, was a tough pill to swallow, but it was the culmination of a fantastic season and one that's really um, had a tremendous impact on my life ever since.
Now, Stephen, after graduating from Illinois, you were drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, and you played 10 seasons in the NBA. Let the viewers know, what was it like playing in the NBA?
Well, let me correct you there, Michael. I played with Dallas, Detroit, and San Antonio of the NBA,
Oh,
but
I
I
missed
played
that.
mostly overseas.
Right.
Yeah, so I played with Dallas, Detroit, and San Antonio. I had some half seasons with them, and then I played in Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Venezuela, and Japan
Okay.
overseas.
Uh-huh.
But playing in the NBA was great because it was a dream come true. Every hooper my age, everybody grew up. I had a Dr. J poster on my wall. I wanted to be like Magic Johnson. You know, I was a 6'6" point guard, so I was a big point guard at the time, and I wanted to play against these guys. I wanted to play against Jordan, and so you know, to finally reach that level, the travel was great, the food was great, the experience was tremendous. It's not quite the camaraderie that people think because it's competitive, and
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
you're competing against your teammate for playing time, especially if you're in the same position. So it's a different dynamic, but it was great nonetheless.
Now, explain to the viewers your experiences playing overseas.
Oh wow. It's some crazy stories, man. I'll give you one that was really bizarre. Do you remember the movie Midnight Express?
Of
With
course.
There was a guy, I believe this was the name of the movie, when the guy was over in Turkey and he was trying to smuggle drugs back to
Uh-huh.
the United States and he got caught. And
Yeah.
so he was in jail. Uh, I was taking a job in Germany, and the second day I got there, the general manager and the coach, you know, we went for a walk, and they were telling me that they needed to run my salary through a piece of property to avoid the German taxes. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not really interested in that. They're like, well, you know, you really don't have a choice. I said, oh, okay. I said, all right,
Ooh.
cool. I said, well, let me ask you this. You know, my wife and my son are back home. Can I get a $10,000 advance, you know, before we do all this, just to make sure that they're good? So the next day they gave me the money. I set up an alibi. I set up a German teammate, to go have like a late lunch with so that I could cover my tracks. As soon as I saw him get in his car and leave, I went upstairs. I got my bags. I came down. I took a taxi to the train station. I took a train to Berlin. I had my wife at the time book a flight for me from Berlin through Paris into Chicago. I was in U.S. airspace before they knew I had even left, and I beat them out of $10,000 because they were trying to, you know, do something funny with the contracts. I mean, there's all
Right.
kind of horror stories about playing overseas, but I have to say that for me, I was very fortunate. Majority of my experiences were tremendous, and I grew up overseas.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, after you played your career, you delved into the world of broadcasting. Explain how that began to happen.
You know, it's a funny story because my father, who is my idol, role model, my everything, he was a college professor, college administrator, was a former college basketball player at Southern Illinois University. And so he was always very integral in me, my brother, and sister's education and sports experiences. So one day, as a sophomore or junior in high school, I was a junior and I was taking chemistry, and I really didn't like chemistry, but I wanted to be an electrical engineer. So I came in the room one time and I said, Dad, I'm a little confused because I can't stand chemistry. And, I know I need to get these sciences if I'm going to be an electrical engineer. What do you think? He said, well, you like to run your mouth and you like sports. And he walked out of the room. And so I was like, what do you mean I like to run my mouth and I like sports? What is he talking about? I was like, oh, he's talking about sports broadcasting. And that's when I changed the direction of my, professional career and studied broadcast journalism at Illinois. I would do internships every year in the off seasons when I was playing professionally. And, I just flowed right into the business. The day I had already had a job lined up with the University of Illinois men's basketball radio color analyst role. That was lined up before I retired from my last season in Japan. And so I took that University of Illinois radio position into Channel 2 in Chicago as a sports reporter. Then I went ESPN, Big Ten Network, Fox Sports, NBC Sports, ABC. It all just kind of ran together after that.
And one of the major reasons that I wanted you on the show is to talk about what you're doing now.
Yeah, I've made a what some would consider a very sudden shift in careers. It was January 8th of this year, and I was flying from Chicago to San Francisco to connect into Corvallis, Oregon, where the University of Oregon is. So I was going to cover Purdue at Oregon that weekend. I got into it with a racist flight attendant, got removed off the flight, threatened to sue the airline, got a nice settlement 3 months later. And that was confirmation for me that I need to get the hell out of the United States because I was either going to hurt somebody or someone was going to hurt me. I had let the microaggressions over the years get up under my skin. I've been to therapy I was married to my college sweetheart and got a divorce and went through therapy with that. But the lady wasn't really attuned to racial trauma that we experience as Black and Indigenous people in the United States. And so I was really angry. And Mexico has been a saving grace for me. And I know there are millions of Black men who are just like me, who Michael, to be honest, I almost resent the phrase Black excellence. Because in the United States, if you're Black and you wake up in the morning, you have to be excellent. You have no choice.
That's true.
And so, we can be the best citizens. We can be the most successful. We can be the most God-fearing. It does not matter. When you encounter a racist person, in particular, a racist European person, they can't see any of your accolades. They can't see the love that you have from your family. They don't care. Sure. And I chose not to live in that environment any longer. And so that's why I moved to Mexico. And that's why I started Next Chapter Forward. It's a community of Black men 50 and over who have the financial means to relocate and have their next chapter of their lives be in a place of paradise. And that's what I'm currently doing. And I am absolutely loving it, to the point, Michael, where somebody asked me, did I miss college basketball? I may have seen 4 games so far this year. That's it.
Wow. I wanted to ask you a question before we touch on what other things you're author as well. You had talked about, I think it's very important thing in today's NCAA, the NIL. Can you explain your take on the NIL to the viewers?
To me, NIL is a backlash from decades of exploitation that the NCAA and the member institutions had over the so-called student athletes. I don't call them student athletes anymore. That was a term that was created to protect the NCAA from litigation.
Yes.
So I call them athletes. And so NIL is a backlash, a whiplash, so to speak, of decades of exploitation. And so instead of the NCAA being able to govern themselves and do what's morally right, again, we got Europeans in control of a sports empire entity that the major revenue producing sports are dominated by Black people, dominated by Black athletes. And so the mere thought and image for Europeans in particular, but some Black people as well, the mere image or thought of these young people garnering hundreds of thousands, some millions of dollars per year to play a sport that they did for free before is shocking to the system for a lot of people. But I think it is well overdue. I'm very pleased with these young people with these opportunities. It's just not males. There are female athletes that are taking advantage of these NIL opportunities. And I think, hallelujah, more power to them.
Now, do you think that there may be some regulations on the actual NIL, I guess, payments?
There will be eventually, Michael, because again, sports owners at the professional and college level, sports, the school presidents, the athletic directors, they can't govern themselves, and so that's why they're begging the Congress, United States Congress, to come in and develop legislation. But I like the fact that the Congress is like, man, we've got far bigger issues than helping you all control yourselves in terms of these NIL payments to these college athletes. It's way down on the totem pole, in my opinion, in terms of what Congress needs to be doing. So will the NCAA and the member institutions come up with something outside of Congress? I doubt it, Michael, because they've been under such litigation over the last decade that they can't move forward without something in place that protects them from constant lawsuits, because it's wearing them out.
I think I agree with everything you're saying. What do you think about the transfer portal? What's your take on the transfer portal?
Now that's tricky, because I know the benefit, yours truly personally, of being someplace for 4 years. Now I don't know that college sports is built that way any longer, because it's just such a bigger enterprise. So I do cringe when I see guys like AJ Storr, the young man who started at St. John's, transferred to Wisconsin, transferred to Kansas. Now he's at Ole Miss, I believe.
That's crazy.
And that was after 5 high schools.
Oh, geez.
So he's a supremely talented young man. But when you jump around like that and you don't really stick your teeth into a situation and work through it and figure it out, I believe you missed out on one of the better things in college, the college experience, in that you're not out in the real world yet, but you're getting real world experiences. And so it can't always be sunshine. The elevator can't always go up. It's got to be some rain. It's got to be some storms in there. It's got to be some things that don't go your way for you to develop the fortitude to work through that. It's a muscle that has to be developed. And if you're always running to the highest bidder or the next place that tells you what you want to hear, you never develop that muscle.
Now, what's your take on I'm old school, and you know, playing for the name in front meant a lot. Now athletes are playing for the name in the back. What's your take on that? Oh, and also, by the way, I want to make it two-part. And also, how, if you were a coach, how would you deal with the situation where, like you said, if our coach is being maybe overly aggressive or the players don't like to be, he can just up and bounce. As a coach, how would you, I guess, adjust to the NIL and also the transfer portal?
The first part of your question, in terms of the players playing for the front of for the back of the jersey rather than the front of the jersey, I would encourage you to put that same lens on the college coaches.
Okay.
Are they coaching for the schools, or are they coaching for themselves?
Uh-huh.
Because they'll leave in the drop of a dime.
That's true. That's true. It's
And
true.
so I think that the players are starting to follow what they see from the coaches and administrators. They'll jump at the next best opportunity, and all that loyalty and all that rhetoric that they were talking goes out the window. The second portion of it is that you've got to deal with college athletes like professional players now, because they're getting paid. And so the leverage, the exploitation that college coaches had over us during my time, they no longer have that. So I really appreciated coaches, Michael, like Jim Larrañaga, who
Uh-huh.
retired from Miami. You know, he's not all he doesn't have all hysterics on the sideline. He's not cursing kids out. He's not trying to embarrass the referees. He's doing his work before the games, and he remains composed during the games. He empowers his players. He corrects them if they make mistakes, but he understands he's dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. Yes, they're getting paid. Yes, it's like professional sports, but there's a way to coach young people today that doesn't require um, the Bobby Knight hysterics, the Woody Hayes physical confrontation. All that stuff is played out, man. It's not necessary in today's game, and I'm very happy about that. That there are not many coaches left with that type of approach, because the reason you are screaming and hollering like that is because you have something over the players. Because Michael, I'm gonna be honest. I used to invite my coaches to go fight. They would talk to me a certain kind of way, and I'd be like, "Look, man, I don't give a damn who you are. I'm a young man. My dad taught me a certain way. You talk to me like that again, we're gonna have a problem." And they hated that. They
Ah,
and I'm gonna keep it real, because I'm on the call with you. European coaches hated black players with dads in the house. They preferred players that their dads were not present, because they would fall for the okie doke. When you have a young
uh-huh.
man like me or Kendall Gill, guys like that whose fathers were present, you couldn't get over on us like that. You can't tell us anything. You can't talk to us any kind of way. And so I like the fact that those type of coaches are few and far between in college sports.
I definitely agree with you. Now, Stephen, you had an outstanding collegiate career, outstanding NBA career, outstanding overseas career, outstanding broadcasting, and you gave it all up. Now, I want the viewers to know exactly when you went to Mexico and what it is that you're doing now. Because I read all your posts, I'm amazed. I'm learning every day. All the words that you give out, the messages that you send to a lot of people, I think is very important. That's another reason why I wanted you on the show. So right now, Stephen, the floor is yours.
Well, Michael, I appreciate that, man, and I appreciate your words, because I put a lot of effort into sharing my thoughts and feelings, and I do a lot of research. I don't talk off the cuff. You know, I approach this next chapter forward in terms of helping Black men relocate. I approach this just like I did as a player and as a color analyst. I analyze the game. I'm a point guard. So, for example, Michael, if you were interested in relocating outside the United States, I would figure out, do you like pin downs to come off and shoot the jumper? Do you like catch and shoot? Do you like one or two bounces? Do you need a pick and roll? I would help you figure that out for your best opportunity to score, i.e., the best country for you to relocate based on your income needs. Are you going to be living off investments? Are you going to need a remote work situation? Or do you want to create something? Or a combination of all three? Do you want sunny weather? Do you want to live in the mountains? Do you need to be around a Black community? Do you need, what kind of visa requirements do you need? I have a rundown on the healthcare in a lot of these areas. So what I'm trying to do, Michael, is this role that I'm in right now, I'm the proudest of, because all the skills that I developed up until this point are going to allow me to create an army, a great collection of Black men who either are single like me or have families that can relocate to another country and pour in that particular area, bring that love, bring that support, bring that expertise, bring that strength that Black American men in particular have. That will impact every other place in the world that we go, right? And I don't wish anything bad on the United States. I'm sure there are a lot of brothers who are quite happy in the United States, and that's great. I love it for you. Stay with it. I'm talking directly to the men that have had similar experiences as me, that were frustrated, that needed something different, that worked their tails off and want to live the next chapter of their lives in a way that is congruent to how they feel, how they want to feel, where they want to be, how they want to be treated, how they want to be respected. And so that's why I'm so excited about Next Chapter Forward and these different products that I'm developing in this community. Because again, we're going to look a year from now, Michael, and I hope to have, 10 to 15 brothers successfully living in another country, thriving, so that we can show other men that not only can I do it, but you can certainly do it as well.
Now, you're also an author, correct?
Yes. Yes. 2 times.
2 times. Explain that.
So the first book I made was How to Make the League Without Picking Up the Rock. How to Make the League was a phrase that guys in my age group, when we were playing college basketball, everybody was like, oh man, I got to get to the league. I got to get to the league. I got to make the NBA. How to make the league without picking up the rock. How do you make the NBA without playing basketball? And so it was a book for high school students.
Okay.
And it was a way for me to kick off I used to do a lot of motivational speaking as well. So it was an addendum. It was a product that I would use in my speaking career that got great reviews. People really, really enjoyed the book. And I just talked about the different careers that were available, the mindset that I think is important to approach. A lot of the different fundamentals that we learn in basketball can be applied to life. And so that's what that book was about. The second book was The Flying Illini, the untold story of one of college basketball's greatest teams. And this was controversial. This was a controversial book because I spoke my truth, and it upset some on the coaching staff, God rest their souls. It upset some of my former teammates, and that's okay, because that let me know that it was authentic. I wasn't trying to appease anybody. This was my perspective because I wrote the book, and it did well. It sold well, and I think some people hated me for it. Some people appreciated me for it. And you know what, Michael? I've never been in a popularity contest. That's not my nature. So those are the 2 books that I authored.
That's outstanding. Now, you did mention, well, in your bio here, that you were you had an issue with the placement of head coaches out of Illinois.
Oh yeah. So for a long time, the University of Illinois was one of 2 or 3 Big Ten institutions at that time that had not hired a Black head coach in basketball or football. I mean, and we're going to go back. I believe Wisconsin. Oh, what was the brother's name? They hired a coach in the 70s, a black coach. He wasn't there. He was there maybe 2 or 3 years. And I don't know why his name is escaping me, but I mean, schools in areas that are supposedly not as progressive as Illinois had black coaches in those sports long before we did. And so I went on a little media tour, and I made my my presence felt. I made my opinion known. I pissed a lot of people off, and I didn't care because it was the truth. And as soon after I started saying these things, Illinois ended up hiring Lovey Walcott. And to tell you the truth, Michael, I've not shared this with anybody because it didn't really matter. But Lovey, when I saw him in a reception soon after he got hired at University of Illinois, he looked at me. He said, "Oh, okay." He's like, "All right, Steven, my man, good to see you." But he understood. And Michael, anytime that we go out on a limb in the media and we speak our truth, it makes people uncomfortable, right? But we still have to do it. That's my duty, and it's my honor, because there were others before me that did the exact same thing to try to open up doors for people that look like me. So that's what that was all about.
Do you think they had any effect, if any, on your broadcasting career?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, because I mean, there are guys that are color analysts like me that get better opportunities than I get, and I get it, and I'm okay with it because I speak my mind on the air as well. Now I'm politically correct as much as I need to be, but I'll drop a Parliament Funkadelic reference or a James like that. That was as smooth as James Baldwin's poetry. I interject some Black history, Black culture in almost every broadcast that I do because that's my culture, and I'm proud of it.
Absolutely. So let the viewers know who may not know, but I'm sure they'll be tuning in after watching this show, of course. The videos that you put out. Explain how you started doing those videos, because to me, they're very impactful. What got you motivated to do those videos that you do? I want to let the viewers be able to check you out. So let the viewers know how to get in touch with you, how to watch your videos, and things of that nature.
Okay, I'm on Facebook. I think it's Bardo. No, it's Stephen Bardo. My name. Just type in my name and you'll see my page come up on Facebook. I'm on Bardo Media on TikTok, and I'm on Next Chapter Forward on YouTube. And so those are the 3 areas to find me. Michael, I've been doing online stuff for a long time. I've got a show called Bardo's Breakdown that I used to do around college basketball, and that would be my studio show. And so I have 2,600 followers on YouTube, and I would go live once a week with Bardo's Breakdown. So I've been studying this online game for a little bit. And I know in order to attract an audience, you have to be, one, authentic, because people can see through if you BSing. So I'm very authentic. 2, you have to be very consistent. So you have to be on there a lot, at least once a day, in my opinion. I try not to do 2 a day because I think it becomes overkill for people 50 and over, because we're not that starved for attention and things like that, because we're busy, we got stuff to do. But I know that if Russell Brunson is one of the godfathers of online business. Russell Brunson said in his book 7 or 8 years ago, he said, if you post if you're a writer, or if you do videos and you post once a day for a year, you won't have to worry about money. Okay. And so I found the more consistent I became with Bardo's Breakdown, that I became monetized on YouTube. I had these other opportunities that were coming, and opportunities started coming because I became much more consistent. Next chapter forward is way ahead of where Bardo's breakdown was, because I now understand the importance of hitting that algorithm every day and filling it in with different things on the back end, with products, with the community, with things like that. So I've been doing this for over a decade now. And that's why I know these videos. And I really appreciate your feedback, Michael, because that's for creators like ourselves, like me and you, we thrive off feedback, right?
Yes.
Because we want to know that our efforts are being
Mm-hmm.
respected and encouraged, and people are looking for you. So it's very important to get that. So I appreciate you saying that.
Well, I appreciate you coming on my show. Now, Stephen, is there anything that I didn't ask you that maybe I should have, or maybe something you want to convey to the viewers that maybe I didn't bring up, or because this is
Well,
about you. It's not about me. It's about you.
I just want to say that I wish everyone a very happy holiday season. I've had a couple of people that I've known personally that have passed away in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
So
Mm,
it's been a little
yeah.
heavy. And so I want to
Yeah.
encourage those of you that if you have loved ones, if you have people, friends and people that you really care about, reach out to them and let them know that you love them, because you don't know when you won't be able to do it. Okay.
That's true.
So reach out and love those that you love. Make sure they know that you're thinking about them, and enjoy your holiday season.
That's great. That's absolutely great. Now, what is it like living where you're at right now? Let the viewers know where you're at right now. What is it like?
What's it like, Michael? I see a lot of women with not a lot of clothes on. Um, I see the beach on a not a day, not quite a daily basis, but certainly a weekly basis. And you can imagine the show that you can see at the beach. I go to dinner every Thursday night with our men's group. We have a black men's group of probably 40 to 50 guys,
Wow.
and we average between 6 and 11 uh you know per week, just because guys are traveling, guys have other things, some of the guys have families, but we
Right.
meet once every Thursday, and it's therapy, man. We close these restaurants down because we're laughing, we're having so much fun. And I work out every morning. And once I've finished working out, I go get my fresh juices from down the street. The cost of living is probably a third of what it is in places like Chicago. Um,
Wow. Mm.
the food is fresh, and the people are friendly, Michael. I mean, man, you'll be out at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. You will hear kids in the park playing. You will
Wow.
see old people walking, holding hands. It's a safe environment, contrary to the negative programming that we've been fed about Mexico. It's a tremendously dynamic, warm country that respect their elders, they love their children, and they love family.
Wow. It makes me want to go out there right now.
Hey, come down and visit, man. You know I got you.
Well, Stephen, man, I want to thank you so very much. I know you're busy, man. I want to thank you so very much for coming on my show. It's been an honor and a privilege. I want to thank you. I may ask you to come on again, and we might have to do part two.
I'd love to. Thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend. You stay safe. Have a happy holiday.
All
Take
right,
care,
you
my
as
brother.
well. Thank you.
You got it. Folks, that's my man, Stephen Bardo, great player from the University of Illinois, fighting the Illini. What a team they had. Kendall Gill, man. Oh, man. Marcus Liberty, and they lost by 1 point to go to the Final Four. I mean, then the Final Four. So, but it was great hearing from him. It's very hard getting guests. No one's ever told me no, but sometimes people just don't answer. But what I wanted to do before I close up, and we're gonna be getting ready for our show tonight, courtside view, which you guys got to tune into because it's entertaining, it's informative, and we got a crazy crew. So it's very enjoyable to do the show. We definitely bring it. But in January, I got some outstanding guests coming on, and I always try to get my guests, lined up weeks in advance. And as you guys know, I post about my guests a week prior to them coming on. And I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, and it's a blessing. I want to thank again my producer Key Williams. So without her, this would never happen. But guys, keep tuning in. We got some great shows coming on. I don't want let it out the bag yet, but we got some outstanding guests coming on. I'll leave it at that. So we might be off my show probably the next couple of weeks because it's Christmas and New Year's. But beginning of January, we're gonna be back better than ever. So with that, I say to all you people, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, stay safe, enjoy yourself, and take care of your loved ones as well. So again, I want to thank you guys for tuning into the Sports Wave Network and Sports Corner with the Conn Man. It's been a blast. I want to thank again my man Stephen Bardo. What an intelligent man. And you got to look up his videos because he's always posting them. He's in that damn warm weather in Mexico on the beach. And I mean, he got the life. But remember this, he took what would have been an outstanding career as a broadcaster. I'm sure he made some very good money and made a lot of contacts. And to give it all up for what he's doing now is something special. And I gotta take my hat off to my man Steven for again coming on my show. He didn't know me from a hole in the wall, and I have no problem. Hey, all they can do is say no. You know what I mean? But a lot of them want to come back, so I got to be doing something right. So anyway, good folks, I want to end this right now. Again, you guys keep tuning into the Sports Wave Network and Sports Corner with the Conn Man. And you guys have a very safe and Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Take care. God bless. Boom. I'm tired, man.